Hello everyone and welcome back to the channel. We are with our friends over at SP Engineering to retune the NSX on their dyno. They have an awesome Mustang dyno here that we've been using for pretty much the last 3-4 years. Christian's in the car per the usual. And we just installed our Garrett G30-770 turbo, which is a huge turbo sizing increase and just probably better turbo for the car than what we had on there before. And basically the car spent some time with Riley over at RS Motorsport, our good friend there as well. Fabricated on the car, that's done everything, kills it every time. Sent it to him to just modify the manifold. You know, he changed the flange on the manifold so that way it would fit this turbo. Made a new charge pipe, new titanium exhaust, and new titanium dump pipe, all using Vibrant Performance components, which look incredible and sound incredible. The car already sounds different. Probably hear idling behind me. Hopefully you can hear me as he shuts it off. But yeah, let's go see what the car does and talk to Christian about the process and hopefully make some more power. Alright, so we are under the car with a little bit of light and the new turbo setup. To get this thing mounted, Riley put a new flange on it. Back here, let's see if you can see that. Basically put a new flange on it to mate with the G30-770. This turbo is running a 101 AR. We're probably going to downsize it to a 0.83 just to get a little bit more response because we're not chasing peak power. For the exhaust and the dump pipe, we have got this Vibrant 4-inch and Vibrant 2.5-inch titanium. So super lightweight. These things together probably weigh less than 3 pounds. I'm insane about weight for those that know me. Vibrant components again on everything else. So we have their aluminum and their HD clamps, which have served us really well. This car has been running all Vibrant stuff for about 3 years. And I've never lost a charge pipe, which is super impressive. We've also moved to a 4-inch air filter there, mainly just to get a little bit more airflow in it. We had to run a little tiny guy before. Let's see if I can find it here, but this thing's disgusting. But this little guy was the only thing that would fit before. Maybe it limited power. I don't know, we never tested running without it, but that's probably gonna help as well. And to give you an example of how kind of good the Vibrant titanium is, if you know anything about titanium, it's prone to cracking. And this thing took a massive beating and never cracked. And this was basically just pulled off the car right after finals. And this happened long before finals. We were just kind of trying to see how long it would last before it would break, and it never did. That infamous titanium ting. We also run a water to air intercooler in the back. It is a Garrett 1000 core with lines that go all the way to the front with a Koyorad heat exchanger. And just in case, like I said, if you don't know the car, you're new to it, or maybe don't know the technical aspects of it, we run a Schedule 10 Vibrant manifold that was custom made by Riley to a bottom mount turbo. We were running a more typical Sidewinder setup, which goes right above the transmission, kind of in like that area. But the car was impossible to work on, and it would take like 6 hours to pull the engine because everything was up there. And now with this setup, we can basically get the engine out in 2 hours. Riley did an awesome job with that. We actually picked up 60 wheel horsepower when we put that thing in, so pretty cool. But just to give you an idea of size-wise on the turbo, so this is our new turbo, this is our old turbo, so this thing is tiny. And in comparison, you can kind of see how much bigger the turbine housing is. So this thing's obviously going to flow really well. Probably be a little bit easier on the transmission because we're not going to have as much shock loading, which is what really destroys transmissions on these cars. Probably be easier on the engine as well, less likely to lift the head because of the way that the surge is going to be, and then also just better or less back pressure and things like that. So I'm excited to get the car on the dyno. If I didn't mention it, we're going to go to SP Engineering, visit our friend David to tune it on Thursday. It's Sunday now, and Christian's going to be tuning it per the usual. So hopefully pick up some power and maintain very good response, which this turbo is known for. And then from there, get the car ready for testing. We're going to be hitting up Buttonwillow a couple times to do some high-speed testing, get it sorted out for Kodas, like the S's and some of the high-speed section in the back. Our aero balance is a little bit too far forward right now. We worked on it a bit at finals towards the end and it worked out, but I think we can get even more performance out of the car. So do some testing and get it ready, and see you guys at the dyno, and hopefully we make some good power. So Christian's gonna go over kind of what we see here. So Christian, our faithful tuner forever.
So I mean, I guess first we just talk about what we ran before with the older setup.
Okay.
Of course, the older setup very quickly went to 1.6 bar. That's on the blue one.
Okay.
But that turbo couldn't even hold the 1.6 all the way. It would drop down to 1.2 bar. So that's what you see up top here, how it just kind of flattens out, because that's like we were kind of giving the turbo all it had at that point.
Yeah, we were maxing it out to the point where I think you were adding boost and getting nothing out of it, right?
Yeah, it was like kind of probably overspinning the turbo. And then today, if we're just going off of like just a simple 1 bar tune, still had a little bit of wheel spin on the green line. So if this is just 1 bar, it's like very straight. You can see it doesn't have much down here, but the potential of how much it's climbing really tells us how much more top end this turbo has, especially because here you can see the little humps here. That's just me getting wheel spin, and I'm like trying to kind of let off the throttle a little bit to kind of get the wheels to catch up, but it's really hard, especially when the car accelerates so fast. And then with the red line here, that's starting to be at 1.4 bar. So just bumping up the turbo that much, you can see that I'm actually surprised the response isn't that terrible compared to
I was gonna say, considering how tiny the old turbo was, like those 7163s are notorious for having like really good response, and this thing is like the power capability is probably an additional 150 wheel horsepower. Yeah, and that's really impressive that it's
not bad to see that at all. Especially on the bigger AR exhaust housing.
So on a point, and I guess that's true because the 7163 was on the 0.83, I think it was, and we're on a 101. So if we were to put the same housing,
a lot bigger.
Yeah.
So I guess that's what Garrett's been working on for these new G series turbos, is talking about response. I think that's what they kind of advertise as being very responsive turbos. And if we didn't have wheel spin, you can, like, if you kind of rule of thumb, if you follow this green line, which was the same turbo, the new turbo, and how it goes up, and then in theory, when running at the higher boost, it should also follow that line.
Same.
So in theory, this little wheel spin squiggle should be, right up here, and I think we're good, like very well easily hit over 600 if we wanted to.
And that's on only 1.4 bar?
Yeah, that's a 1.4 bar. Versus
1.6 on the last turbo.
Yeah, 1.6, and then this one would taper, like the boost would come up and taper off down like that if there was an imaginary boost curve here. But wheel spin,
Yeah, so pretty rough, and I think part of what we're going to do to kind of fix this issue is we can't really do much about it right now. We've knocked the tire pressures all the way down like 18 psi to get them to hold as much traction as they can, and it's already kind of late. So what we're going to do is go to the track in a week or so and kind of get the tune where Christian wants it there. And then we're going to probably get a set of slicks or really sticky tires just to run for the dyno, and something really wide like a 315 basically autocross special tire, like an A7 or something, and throw it on the back just to get it to kind of
dyno tire.
Yeah, so it'll be our dyno tire, and see if we can get the thing to hold, and probably change the AR depending on what we're thinking, just so that we have the option for both and a tune for both. And if we decide we want to run big power, put the 101 on and run it for tracks that have really long straightaways like Road Atlanta or something like that.
Yeah, that could be something smart too, because the bigger the AR is, the less stress you're going to put on everything.
Yeah, exactly. So easier, and then which is a big thing because I think part of the reason why this car was notorious for breaking stuff was because the AR and the turbo size was so small that everything would just hit so hard. Like the torque spike was insane, so we'd break transmissions, we'd lift heads, do all sorts of crazy things. So I think this is going to be better. What do you think, Christian?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and really impressed with the curve. The response is actually the most shocking thing. I expected to lose quite a bit of response just because of the size of the turbo. And seeing that even with this large AR makes me think that this thing's still going to be pretty good on track, like in like the low speed stuff.
Yeah, I think so too.
Cool.
Hopefully we won't break it.
Yeah. So we made a lot more power, and that's with tons of wheel spin and at a lower boost level, which is pretty exciting. So couldn't be happier with this turbo, and I'm really excited to get it on track. So we'll be out with SoCal Drivers Club, SDC, on February 4th. Today's the I think the 27th of January, so really soon. We'll get the car back to the shop, nut and bolt it, give it a quick once over, and put it back together, since we have to take the front end off to get onto the dyno because it's too low and too long. So thank you, Christian. You're amazing. For always tuning and getting this thing sorted out. And I guess from here, we'll see you at the track. SP always has some really fun cars at their shop, so I figured I'll give you a quick walk around and show you what they got going on here. Naturally, they're a GTR shop, so we're gonna see lots of them. Some fun fabrication tools. SP is known for their big powered GTR packages, like 700, 1000, 1500, 1700. Clutch action over there. Always rebuilding transmissions and doing builds. They also work on Lambos. They always have a couple Lamborghinis in the shop, like that Murcielago and this Aventador. Some classic GTRs. 32 and a 34 with a really cool engine bay. Some beautiful stuff going on in here. Christian said these are Tomei twins, which is pretty cool. I don't know much about RV stuff. Super cool setup. It's always funny looking under these things and seeing how they're put together. It's impossible to work on, and all sorts of square tubing MIG together. Don't look at this, Riley, cover your eyes. How big everything is in here. Another R35. So SP does everything basically from basic builds to full insane stuff. They've got some super cool cars that are hidden here. Some really legendary cars that are hidden under these banners. Maybe one day I'll show you.